Retirement is the start of a new journey that requires planning and has little scope for mistakes. So people often get anxious as they don't know how to deal with the situation if things don't go as planned. Joining me is Jeff Mathies. He's CEO of Mathies Financial Partners in Denver and Colorado Springs, Colorado. Jeff, there are a lot of financial planner firms out there today. What really sets you apart from the others?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it takes me back to when we first started Mathies Financial Partners. We had to make sure we built that company correctly. We didn't want to look like all the other brokerage firms and feel like all the other brokerage firms because we'd have all the same problems for the clients that those brokerage firms had. So when we built Mathies Financial Partners, we built that company from the ground up as if we were the clients with what we would have wanted to have happen, the experience that we want. That's how we designed it. And that's why we call ourselves a training and development company. I mean, we're trying to help people to solve problems that have been around for a long time. And we consistently see the same issues with people when they come in to meet us for the first time. We kind of know what to expect. So we built this company to try and solve a lot of the problems that the other firms are creating. And the reality is it's based off of how the relationship is structured from the beginning. You see, we're fiduciaries. We're not financial salespeople. We are consultants. The relationship is very, very different when you're working with a fiduciary consultant versus a financial salesperson.
So there's so much confusion and scarcity out there surrounding retirement and investing. What would you tell our viewers to at least try and ease their mind a little bit in regards to their money?
I think that's a really good question. It's very front and center right now, especially with all the mess that's happening overseas and the massive amount of volatility that we're seeing in the markets today. What I would tell people to try to give them some sort of mental relief is the markets have been around for a long time. They've got a 100-year track record and they're still in business. You don't have that type of track record when things are failing all of the time. The challenge is you have to have some sort of a system in place to take advantage of the markets when they're going really well, and also position yourself when they're not going so well. You have to take advantage of the markets regardless of what direction they're going. It's not always going to be Care Bears and rainbows out there when there's people trading. It's not always happy. But you have to be able to emotionally control your actions and position yourself for future profits when the market is down and capture profits when the market is up. You have to be able to do that. And there's got to be a process in place to help you with it, or it becomes very challenging. So my suggestion to you is you find yourself a really good coach, somebody who's going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily always what you want to hear.
Income in retirement is the #1 concern for retirees. It's been for many years. What can you say to this concern, and is there a way to set yourself up so income never is an issue in retirement?
Yes, another really good question. One of the big challenges that consumers have today is when they get to retirement, they set a date saying, okay, when I turn 65 years old, I'm out. I'm going to retire, I'm done working, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to retire, I'm going to see my grandkids, I'm going to spend time with my family, but they have no real plan in place as for how much income am I going to have, how much money can I take out of my investments safely, where are the other income streams coming from. It's kind of a mess. And the challenge we have is trying to get all of that data together and then train them to say, hey, here's how much income realistically you can spend for the rest of your life. This is what you have to do to make the money last as long as you're going to last. And so the big challenge is just making sure that we fill the gap. I mean, most people have Social Security. Most people have some sort of retirement idea of what they want it to look like. But a lot of times that stuff's never written down anywhere. They haven't gone through a process to try to figure out, what am I going to do if the market crashes? What am I going to do if my spouse passes away and I lose the pension or half the Social Security or something like that? You really have to have a plan in place to address those things, and you need to do it before they become, those things are punching you right in the face. You got to get that done ahead of time. Income is a big issue, and there's a lot of things you can do to try to alleviate some of that pain, but it all starts off with the conversation about what do you want your future to look like and what do you have to work with to make sure the math works.
Jeff, what do you see as a fiduciary advisor that is the most repetitive planning breakdown of the families coming to see you and your advisors at Mathies Financial Partners?
I think the biggest breakdown, I call it the winging it syndrome. It's when it comes to, there's two pieces of that. When it comes to the investing, what they're doing is they're saying, well, I want to look at stuff that did good, that did well in the past, and that's how I'm going to pick the stuff that I'm going to have in the future. And I'm going to tell you, first thing, there's a reason why at the bottom of every statement it says past performance is no guarantee of future results, because that's how people choose the investments they're going to have in the future, and it never works out for them. And it's unfortunate that a lot of advisors do the exact same thing. They don't have any math and science built into the plan. So the first problem is the portfolio design, how the money is going to work for them. Because the reality is, when you're reaching retirement age, you've been doing the heavy lifting on your savings your entire life. You get to a point where it's time for your savings to start doing some heavy lifting for you. And if you don't have that wired up correctly, it's going to be a disaster. So the first problem or challenge to address is going to be the portfolio design. The second one is the mathematics around that income. It's how much can you safely take out? How long is it going to last? What do you do if there's a market crash? What do you do if you have hyperinflation? Your income plan is critical. It has to be there. And the reality is, when it comes to retirement planning, you have to have paychecks and you have to have playchecks. You didn't work your entire life to retire and sit on the couch and do nothing. You want to go do stuff. And far too often people come in and they are so unprepared for retirement. They get to the date, they pull the trigger on retirement, and then they're like, okay, how do we retire? There's got to be a lot of boxes that are checked before that happens. So the two things that people need to address, the major things that we see happen over and over, is lack of portfolio efficiency and lack of income planning.
That's Jeff Mathies with Mathies Financial Partners in Denver and Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is Retirement News Online.